preparation phase, which includes the backswing. The backswing for the shot consists of the movements that occur during the crouch and preparation for the shot. The ball is held stationary at waist level with the shooting hand behind the ball or on top of the ball as shown. The shoulder for the shooting arm is close to 0 degrees with the upper arm held along the trunk. The knees are flexed close to 120 degrees while the trunk of the body is flexed. The trunk flexion at this stage of the shot is very important, as the subsequent trunk extension is used for loading the legs by increasing knee and hip flexion just prior to the extension for the shot. The movements in this phase include flexion of the knee, flexions of the hips, trunk flexion, which includes the pelvic and gluteus maximus area, and dorsiflexion. The second phase, which includes the release of the ball of the upper body. The player approaches the end of the backswing and starts the force-producing phase of the shot. The ball is at shoulder level and moves up to the forehead. The movements in this phase include full elbow extension, shoulder flexion at release, wrist flexion, and pronation comes with the follow-through. Note that the left hand and arm is just a guide hand to assist the ball, but it does reach full extension. This is the third phase, which includes the release of the ball of the lower body. The trunk approaches full extension. The hips are extended and thrusted upward. Knee extension occurs, as does plantar flexion of the feet. Also, flexion of the gastrocnemius muscle, which is the calf, is applied. Is the final phase, also known as the follow-through phase. The ball is raised up toward shoulder level by using shoulder flexion, and the trunk begins to extend. As the trunk is raised from the flexed position to the near vertical position, this trunk extension causes the knees to increase their depth of flexion. Since the trunk carries approximately 50% of the body weight, acceleration of the trunk upwards produces significant forces downward toward the floor. These forces can be used to increase the depth of the knee flexion and dorsiflexion. As the trunk approaches the vertical position, the ball is raised using shoulder flexion. The movements that occur in this posterior phase, follow-through phase, include flexion of the shoulders, flexion of the gastrocnemius muscle, which is the calf muscles, flexion of the trapezius muscles, wrist flexion, plantar flexion, and hip flexion. There are many common errors in free throw shooting. One could be poor alignment. Many shooters fail to line up the shooting side hip, knee, shoulder, and elbow with a line through the ball to the basket. If any of these joints is out of alignment, the shot is more likely to be released offline and miss the basket. 2. Lack of backspin. Players often apply side spin to the ball at release, or else apply no spin at all. Both of these errors will affect the flight of the ball and may cause it to go offline to the basket, or to rebound off the backboard too hard or sideways and not to drop into the hoop. 3. Low arc on the shot. Players who do not have sufficient shoulder flexion, elbow extension, or trunk extension during release often release the ball too flat. A high arc is required to ensure the ball has the maximum area of the basket to utilize on entry. 4. Relaxation of the shooting arm. The shooting arm should be completely relaxed during the shot, with only the active mover muscles contracted and all the others loose and relaxed. Too much tension in the non-mover muscles of the shooting arm will interfere with the smooth release of the ball and shorten the follow-through. 5. Full follow-through after release. Players should finish in full gooseneck position after shooting hand with the arm pointing to the ceiling and the hand pointing directly to the basket. 6. Interference from non-shooting hand. If the non-shooting hand is pronated or supinated at release, it may move the ball out of alignment with the hoop. The ball is shot too hard. When a player is excited or tired, they may release the ball too fast and it will bounce off the back of the rim and miss the basket. And finally, too much tension in the shooting arm. Shooting arm should be in full shoulder flexion, elbow extension, and wrist flexion at release of the ball. If muscles are tense, it may decrease the range of motion of these joints and interfere with the shot.